The weather over the next few days in the United States is expected to remain pretty active, where we have a potential for tornadoes today across parts of northern Minnesota and even in parts of the Northeast. In today's video, I'll break down what you need to know about the severe weather over the next few days. So make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get right into the forecast. It's Monday, August 3rd, 2026. You can see this is our severe weather outlook for today. We do have a slight risk out here in parts of northeastern South Dakota and northern Minnesota. That's going to be my main area I'm watching for severe weather today. But we do have a conditional threat farther down south, where we have a marginal risk in that area near Denver, Colorado, where a few isolated severe storms could pop up, but it is a little uncertain on whether we're actually going to get that happen. Could also see some severe storms in the southwest today out here in parts of southeastern Arizona is the area I'm watching closest. Could also see a few isolated severe storms that could lead to tornadoes in the northeast today, over the New York and Boston, Massachusetts. You guys want to be watching out for that. This is what our tornado risk looks like today. We could see a few tornadoes out here in northeastern South Dakota, parts of northern Minnesota today. We do have a 2% tornado risk in these areas. If we do get a tornado, it would likely be brief and weak and will likely not be strong. I'm not really looking at a big tornado threat today out here. We could also see a few tornadoes out here in the northeast today near Hartford, Connecticut, over there towards southern New Hampshire. I wouldn't rule out a potential for a brief tornado if we get some of that atmospheric spin and one of those storms to tap into it. Also, be sure to strap down unsecured objects so they don't fly away today, as we are going to have a potential for some pretty strong winds. As we head into tomorrow, another severe weather threat is likely tomorrow on Tuesday, August 4th. We could see a few isolated severe storms tomorrow in southeastern Arizona. We could see a few severe storms in parts of northeastern New Mexico and southeastern Colorado tomorrow on Tuesday. And then a few severe storms will even be possible in parts of western North Carolina, parts of South Carolina on Tuesday, so make sure to be prepared for that. I'm not really expecting it to be too crazy, but it's going to be something to keep an eye on. As we get into Wednesday, we could see a few isolated severe storms in eastern Kansas, northern Missouri, and parts of western Illinois. I'm going to be watching Wednesday closely for that severe weather potential. It'll likely not be too crazy, but I'm watching around Kansas City, Missouri for that storm system. Over there in parts of southeastern Colorado and northeastern New Mexico, we could also see a few severe storms on Wednesday, even going down there into southeastern Arizona. You guys are back at it with another severe weather potential on Wednesday. We have a low pressure system that's going to be placed over parts of South Dakota today. And we're going to have a cold front out here, and we're expected to get storms to form in front of that cold front today. One limiting factor that can make it so our severe weather potential today might not be too crazy is the morning convection. The storms before the main storms could take away some of that storm fuel, which is basically Gatorade for the storms that could drink up all that Gatorade before the main storms come through. We could see a little bit of clearing in parts of the evening before the main storms, which might make it so that we could see a better severe weather potential, but I'm not really expecting it to be too crazy. The morning storms could kind of take away some of that instability for the main storms, but it's still going to be something to keep an eye on no matter what. Fargo, North Dakota, you guys want to be watching from the time frame between 10 and midnight Eastern today for those potential storms. So be prepared for that. And then those storms will potentially produce a few tornadoes, hail, and a damaging wind threat. They're going to push farther east, then they could produce a few brief spin-up tornadoes across northern Minnesota throughout the overnight hours, and then they should start weakening down as we lose the instability in the overnight hours. Farther down south near the low pressure system, these storms are not really expected to be anything too crazy, even if they do form. It's uncertain whether they will form, but I'm pretty confident they will within these areas. So make sure you're staying prepared for that. These storms will likely be mainly a damaging wind threat, but we could see some hail. So be prepared for these storms. They're not expected to be anything too crazy, but it will be something to keep an eye on. A few isolated severe storms will also be a possibility out here in the southwest today. This is kind of what they could look like. I'll be watching around Tucson, Arizona for some of those strong storms today. They did upgrade it to a slight risk because that's kind of where the main storms will be. But we could also see maybe an isolated storm near Phoenix, Arizona tonight. But it's going to be a little bit uncertain whether it's going to make it. So we're going to have to watch that closely. You guys want to be making sure you have multiple ways to receive weather alerts if you're out here. And we're also going to have a severe weather potential in the northeast today. It's not going to be like a crazy threat, but we could see a few isolated severe storms producing mainly a damaging wind threat out here from Delaware all the way up to Maine. We can also see a few tornadoes with these storms, with most of the spin kind of kicking up out here in parts of Connecticut and New Hampshire. That's kind of where most of our spin is going to be, to allow for maybe a brief spin up tornado that would likely be weak. This is storm relative helicity. This kind of shows where some of our spin is going to be in the atmosphere. You can see that we do have a decent amount of spin out here that could allow for a few tornadoes in parts of Connecticut. Over there towards southern New Hampshire today, we could see maybe a potential for a tornado or two. But I think it's going to be a relatively low chance, but we do have enough atmospheric spin to contribute to a potential for a few tornadoes. And then up here in the northern plains today, we do have enough spin for a few tornadoes out here as well. Might even be more spin than in the northeast, so make sure you're staying prepared out here for these storms as they could produce a few tornadoes. I'm not really expecting a strong tornado potential though today. Let's go ahead and take a look at our storm field for today. This is convective available potential energy. This is our CAPE. You can see that we do have getting around potentially 4,000 joules per kilogram in northeastern South Dakota today, but not looking like anything too crazy out there. But we can see a decent amount of storm fuel out here today for these storms to pop up. So I'm really expecting them to pop up around 8 or 9 p.m. Then they should continue out there, so they will have enough storm fuel to work with out there. So definitely make sure you have multiple ways to receive weather alerts, and 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram is plenty for those storms. As we get into tomorrow on Tuesday, we could see a few severe storms out here in parts of the southeast. These are going to be some isolated normal thunderstorms, but some damaging wind gusts with these storms are possible. I think the tornado threat is going to be low, but not zero with these storms, so we're going to have to watch that closely. You guys want to be watching this closely, mainly South Carolina and North Carolina. That's the area I'm watching the closest for that severe weather potential tomorrow. We could also see some severe storms out here in the southwest tomorrow. I wouldn't rule out an upgrade out there in southeastern Arizona for a slight risk, kind of like in that same area that we had today. So we're going to have to watch tomorrow closely, but it's going to be more of a lower end severe weather potential. And even as we get into Wednesday, I think it will be kind of similar to what Tuesday will be. Not in the locations, but kind of the intensity with the storms. I'm expecting a potential for a few storms on Wednesday out here in parts of northern Missouri and those areas. This could get upgraded to slight risk in future outlooks. Right now, it is looking like that we could see some severe weather as we get into August 5th. We could see some severe weather out there in parts of Missouri, and even into the overnight hours into August 6th and over into the morning hours. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on the severe weather potential, and I'll keep you guys updated. We could actually see a potential for flooding today in the entire east coast of the United States. So you guys want to be prepared for some flash flooding today. You guys want to be making sure to have multiple ways to receive weather alerts. I am actually expecting a decent chance for flash flooding, especially in the Jacksonville, Florida area. And then out there in New York, we could definitely see some flooding today. We're going to have training thunderstorms going over the same area, which is going to really be a pretty significant flood threat that's going to set up out here. So definitely make sure you're staying prepared for this flooding potential, and make sure you're having a way to get to high ground if needed and if you end up in a flash flood warning. As we get into tomorrow on Tuesday, the flash flood threat will continue out there in parts of the southeast, as we're going to have training storms going over in the same area. Midwest could also see some excessive rainfall tomorrow, and then today and tomorrow the southwest could also deal with flash flooding. Especially if you're in those low-lying areas or close to ponds, creeks, or streams, be prepared for a flash flood. Here in the southwest today, we are expecting scorching hot temperatures out here that is going to be getting up to potentially around 120 degrees out here in parts of California, around the Mojave desert area. I could see closer to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to be very hot out here today in the southwest. So make sure you're staying hydrated out here and everything like that. And don't be leaving anybody in the car, as the temperatures can climb very fast in less than a minute. So it's going to be very hot out here in the southwest over the next few days, breaking records, mainly out there in Phoenix, Arizona, Death Valley region, over there towards Crescent City, California. That is pretty much all I got for you in today's video. Make sure to slap a like, make sure to subscribe, and I'm sorry that this video is kind of short. I also do want to say that I am going camping, so I won't be able to post any weather updates. I will make maybe some community posts, but probably not that many videos, maybe not even any videos. That's pretty much all I got for you in today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.